In the frozen streets of Harbin in the late 1980s, a legend whispered through the snow. Whenever a specific black Mercedes-Benz appeared on the road, traffic parted like the Red Sea. Even police cars would instinctively pull over to let it pass. The owner of this car wasn't a government official, nor was he a foreign diplomat. Yet, in this city, his word carried more weight than the law itself. Rumors swirled around him. Some said he was arrogant enough to overtake the motorcade of a high-ranking leader from Beijing on the highway. Others whispered that he lived like an emperor, taking any woman he desired, claiming a new bride every night. He was the Godfather of the Northeast, the underground mayor of Harbin. They called him Qiao Si. But legends are often smoke and mirrors. Who was the real Qiao Si? How did a common bricklayer rise to become a crime lord who terrified an entire region? And how was his empire dismantled by the state machine in a single night? Today, the Old Archives opens a classified file to reveal the true story of the annihilation of Qiao Si. Qiao Si was born Song Yongjia in 1947. Why the nickname Qiao Si? It's simple. He lived near a bridge and was the fourth child in his family. To the neighbors, he was just Bridge 4, Qiao Si. In his youth, he wasn't a kingpin. He was a simple bricklayer. He was a skilled worker, but he had a violent streak and was a regular at the local police station. However, his ticket to power came in the early 1980s, during a massive wave of urban renewal. Harbin was being rebuilt. Old neighborhoods were being demolished. But developers faced a nightmare: male households, stubborn residents who refused to evict or negotiate. One day, a construction crew was deadlocked with a group of these residents. Negotiations had failed. That's when Qiao Si arrived with his crew. He didn't scream, and he didn't throw a punch. Instead, he did something that sent a chill down everyone's spine. Qiao Si gathered the crowd. He silently placed his own left pinky finger on a chopping block. With his other hand, he raised a bricklayer's trowel and hack. He chopped his own finger off. Blood sprayed onto the snow. Qiao Si didn't even flinch. He pointed his bleeding hand at the terrified residents and said, "If any of you can do what I just did, I won't tear down your house. If you can't, then get the hell out." That single stroke of the blade carved out his reputation. The residents fled overnight. From that moment on, every developer in Harbin knew, if you have a problem, you call Qiao Si. Qiao Si capitalized on his fear. He formed a demolition team comprised entirely of ex-convicts and thugs. Through violence and intimidation, he monopolized Harbin's demolition market. That severed finger was his entry ticket into the abyss of organized crime. With money came ambition. He no longer wanted to be just a thug, he wanted to be legitimate. He bribed his way through the system, buying titles like vice manager of a construction company and even securing an award as a model worker of the district. But his ultimate symbol of power was his car. Internet rumors claim his license plate was Black A88888, but the archives tell a different story. His true chariot was a black Mercedes-Benz with the plate Black A00004. It wasn't 5/8, but in an era where even a basic sedan was a luxury, this Mercedes was a crown. On the streets of Harbin, traffic police didn't dare stop him, they saluted him. His arrogance knew no bounds. If he liked a restaurant, he would eat and leave without paying. The owner would have to smile and walk him to the door. If he saw a beautiful woman, whether a passerby or a waitress, his men would drag her into his car. Resistance meant a brutal beating. At a dinner party, he once uttered a sentence that defined his hubris: "In Harbin, in this territory, aside from the Communist Party, I call the shots." He even built a lavish villa in the suburbs, known as the #1 mansion of Harbin. It was the glittering palace of the underground mayor. However, as the old saying goes, those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make mad. Qiao Si's arrogance finally reached the wrong ears. The most famous story of his downfall is the overtaking incident. The story goes like this: Li Ruihuan, a top-ranking member of China's ruling council, was inspecting the province. For security, the highway was locked down, escorted by police cruisers. As the motorcade moved smoothly, a black lightning bolt appeared. Ignoring all warnings, a black Mercedes zoomed past the leader's car and sped away. The leader looked out the window and asked, "Whose car is that?" The local officials, terrified and embarrassed, stammered, "That is Qiao Si's car." The leader replied dryly, "Lord Qiao. He has more pomp than I do." While this story may have been dramatized over time, the logic behind it is real. The central government in Beijing had witnessed the chaos in Harbin. They saw a mafia state operating within the state. Beijing made a decision: this tumor had to be removed. This wasn't just a routine crackdown. It was a special operation codenamed 803. Catching Qiao Si seemed impossible. He had spent years weaving a massive web of connections within the Harbin police force. Many officers were his friends, some were on his payroll. If a local arrest warrant were issued, Qiao Si would vanish before the ink was dry. To ensure success, the provincial authorities made a bold move: cross-jurisdiction deployment. A brilliant detective named Peng Wanjiang was appointed to lead the task force. He brought in elite officers from outside the city, infiltrating Harbin in secret. To maintain cover, they didn't stay in police dorms, they rented civilian houses, posing as investigators conducting a generic social order survey. On August 10, 1990, the trap was set. A raid on Qiao Si's villa was too risky, one gunshot and his henchmen would scatter. Detective Peng decided to use Qiao Si's own arrogance against him. They turned an insider, a police officer who was friendly with Qiao Si, and had him make a phone call. "Lord 4, we have a small issue at the station regarding a demolition dispute. We need you to come down and make the final call." Qiao Si didn't suspect a thing. He thought it was just another day of officials asking for his help to smooth things over. He drove his black A00004 into the police compound, swaggering as always. He didn't know he was walking through the gates of hell. The moment he pushed open the office door, Detective Peng and the special forces lunged. A cold gun barrel was instantly pressed against his forehead. Qiao Si was a veteran of the underworld. He didn't struggle. He paused for a second, looked up at the stranger holding the gun, and asked the last question of his criminal career. "Did I offend a big shot this time?" Detective Peng replied coldly, "You offended the people." On June 9, 1991, the Harbin Stadium was packed. Dozens of core members of Qiao Si's syndicate stood trial. The indictment was tens of thousands of words long, detailing murders, robberies, kidnappings, and assaults. Moments before he was taken to the execution ground, a photographer captured a famous image. In the photo, Qiao Si is wearing a suit, bound by ropes. He is looking up at the sky. His eyes hold a mix of defiance, unwillingness, and perhaps relief. Legend says his final words were, "This life was worth it." But was it really? A single gunshot ended the sinful life of Qiao Si. It also marked the end of the era of the bandit hero in the chaotic years of China's reform. The fall of Qiao Si was more than the collapse of a crime lord. It was a signal: in China, no force that challenges the bottom line of the law, or places itself above the people, can survive. No matter how big the protective umbrella, or how arrogant the master, the only ending is destruction.